let's relax. Let's calm down. We need to calm down on the young G Lamine Yamal. You know what it is with Lamine Yamal? Um, at times he doesn't really help himself. He's a very vocal guy. He's an outward guy. It could be good. It could also be bad to the detriment of himself. He doesn't really help himself in certain cases. Lamine is getting a lot of heat at the moment in the World Cup for underperforming, shall say. In his performances or his performance is not living to the expectations that people had for him coming into the tournament. And if I'm not mistaken, Lamine said in one of his presses saying that, essentially, I would kind of say it as a bluff, right? Where he was like, I'm going to paraphrase here, but it's like something along the lines of like, I don't really care too much about the group stage, or people don't really care too much about the group stage. When the knockout rounds come around, that's when, I'll be up for that. I'll be, turning up for that, essentially, is what he was saying. I'm paraphrasing right there, but I believe he said something along those lines. And mate, listen, big boy, listen, big dag, yeah. We're in the quarterfinals now. Spain have made it into the semi-finals, so Spain are into the semi-finals now, yeah. Big dag, Lamine Yamal. We're in the semi-finals. When will you quote unquote turn up? Is what people are feeling, How can I put this? It's like I do hear it, because me personally, I kind of expected Lamine to be performing where like Elise or Osman Dembele, in fact, like, even Mbappe's level, like where the levels that Mbappe and Haaland are performing at the moment, and Messi, I kind of expected Lamine to be in and around there, in and around there, that kind of level of performance. He hasn't been performing at that level, in my opinion, which is a bit disappointing, right? But I don't believe he's been as stinky as people are making it out to be. I don't think he's been as poor as people are making it out to be. I'm watching the games, or the games I've watched of Spain. Obviously the one lately with Belgium, close game. I thought like Lamine was doing his thing in that game. Yes, he didn't score. Yes, he didn't get an assist. He wasn't, put on the stat line or the stat sheet. But I thought like he had a decent game. I felt like he was contributing a lot to that Spanish attack. He was looking like a constant threat, and I feel like he's been like that throughout a lot of the games. And yes, a player of Lamine's status, you do expect the goals and the assists to be coming in. And I think that's where the major disappointment is coming from. Rather, like people are expecting him. They're seeing Mbappe and Haaland and Messi and Kane putting the numbers in, right? People are kind of expecting Lamine to have been chipping in with a couple of those numbers by now, and it hasn't really been the case at the moment. I don't know why. What do you guys think is the reason behind that? Me personally, I don't know why. But again, the numbers, they're not there. But I don't think he's been as stinky as it's been painted out to be. Yeah, I don't know. But I think, guys, we need to calm down a bit though, because let's remember, like, he's only 18. This is his first World Cup as well, by the way. His first World Cup at the age of 18. He is only 18, guys. Let's slow down now. And again, it's not like he's been sneaking up the gaff. It's not like he's been sneaking up the gaff. You know? If I'm not mistaken, he also came into the tournament injured. He came into the tournament injured, I think. He missed the first game, something along those lines. So it's like he's having to, pick up his rhythm. It being his first World Cup, 18 as well, like we do need to slow down. And it's like, let's remember, first World Cup and everything, bro. Ronaldo's first World Cup at 21, right? At age 21, he only managed to bag 1 goal, no assist, right? Messi's first World Cup, he only managed to get 1 goal, 1 assist. Ronaldinho's first World Cup, he only managed to get 2 goals, And you guys might be thinking, well, listen, Mbappe, 18, had the world at his feet. Come on, man. Like, not everyone's the same. And if you're going to use that logic, then, I believe you can't really use that logic as a battering ram to beat down Lamine. Because if you're going to do that to beat down Lamine, then we should also use it to beat down Ronaldo and Messi and Ronaldinho and the other, big time players that have been playing at the World Cup that had not so impressive first World Cup editions, But we won't do that because we watch their games, right? I've been watching the games. Again, yes, Lamine, he hasn't been on the score sheet. It is a bit disappointing. But man, he hasn't been pissing the gaff. He hasn't been stinking up the gaff. In my opinion, he hasn't, I do want to point out though, Spain they've been scraping, scraped against Portugal, scrapes against Belgium. And yes, one can make the argument of all like the quote unquote bigger nations, right? Or the favourites to win the World Cup. Spain have actually had the tougher games, right? But it's like, it does feel like Spain, they're scraping, they're crawling, to the finishing line in their games, whilst the other big nations or the other favourites, England, France, Argentina, even Argentina have been scraping, to be honest. But it's like, we're seeing nations like England and France just putting away these teams. Mexico was a bit of a tough one for England, but other than that though, like, England have been comfortable in their games. Let's just say they did have a scare against Congo, but I feel like overall there hasn't really been that much of a scare with England. France have just been putting away their teams, and people kind of see Spain as one of the favorites. So them kind of scraping away through games, it does, you know, kind of put a bit of like pressure, or like, maybe pressure isn't the word, but like a bit of worry on the Spanish team. And obviously, their main man Lamine Yamal isn't really filling the stat sheets yet, so it's extra, you know, worry or extra stress for them, I guess. But I do want to make the point though. Let me he does need to stay. I'm gonna make another video on that, but he would need to, you know, try to find himself on the impact the game. Let's just say, you know, impact the game on the score sheet wise. I don't think he could get away with how he's been playing so far in the France game. You know, we're gonna need, bro. I think even Lamine Barcelona this season isn't gonna be enough for the to beat France in my opinion in that game. I think we're gonna have to have a Lamine of last season. Like we're gonna have to have Lamine. You know the level Lamine peaked at against in that Inter Milan series. Those two games, the first leg and the second leg, particularly in that second leg, that's the kind of Lamine Yamal we're gonna have to see if Spain are gonna beat France. You know, because that's how much of a tall order we're talking about, right? But yeah, like that's just, I don't know. That's just my thoughts and opinions on Lamine Yamal this tournament. He hasn't, you know, really been. Because me personally as well, like even though I'm making this video saying that we need to calm down on Lamine Yamal, I would have expected him to, you know, have much of a say or much of an influence on the stat sheet, right? But again, football ain't all about stats, and Spain continue to win, you know, and like if he's putting in performances like he put in yesterday, which was a decent performance in my opinion. If you ask me, he was still contributing to the game. He looked threatening, right? He was Spain's main source of threat on the attack, right? But then they're having other players chipping in, like they got Marino chipping in. They've also got guys like Ferran Torres who are also capable of chipping in with output. And Lamine continues to perform, and they end up winning the World Cup, you know, or even go to the finals, right? Because I think if Spain were to go to the finals, it will be an amazing tournament, regardless. Especially them just coming off the Euros. I don't think that pressure is on their heads for them to win an international tournament right now, like there is on the heads of England, or I don't know, even Argentina. Argentina just won the last World Cup. I think France and England have more pressure on their heads to win the World Cup than I think Spain or Argentina have. Is essentially what I'm trying to say. But the other side though, what the other side of the argument, you know, the people that are criticizing Lamine at the moment are saying, I do hear the concerns of Lamine, you know, about like an apparent regression that we're seeing at the World Cup. I do hear, you know, people that kind of have that belief, even though I hear it. Me personally, I don't agree with it or I don't believe it. But I do hear the concerns of like regressions or signs of regression that are being shown, because it's like, listen, Lamine have been playing at the highest elite level since the age of 15, bro. He broke out onto the scene at 15. So he's had 3 good years now where he's been, his name has been at the top of this thing, you know. Lamine, shout out the young G Lamine Yamal, you know what I'm saying? And it's like we always speak about potential. We always assume that this player is going to continue to get better, right? I'm not talking about Lamine, but I'm just talking about like anytime we see like a young player breaking out or emerging, we always assume that we always talk about potential. We always assume that, oh, as they grow older through the years, they're going to continue to get better and better and better and better. We always assume that, right? But it's like, what if, you know, their peak, it was their first couple of seasons or their first few years in during like their breakout process? Like, what if this is Lamine's peak? Shout out Luffy, this is my peak. I'm never doing that again. But what if we're currently seeing right now Lamine's peak, and I don't know, maybe in the, God forbid, but like I don't wish this upon him in it. Because bro, Lamine is actually one of my favorite players to watch. Like he's cold in it. He's the young G Lamine Yamal. I'm trying to ball like the young G Lamine Yamal. You know what I'm saying? He's cold. I don't wish anything bad upon the guy in it. He's a great guy, you know, great. I don't know him as a person in it, but he's a great player in it. But it's like, let's just say that, you know, that this is his peak. Like he's last season in fact was his peak. Like that's the height he'll get, and he'll just be maybe not deteriorate and just regress instantly, but like, you know, he's reached his peak. He's at the top of the mountain, and he's just gonna be like this. Because we're quick to assume that as he gets older, he's gonna continue to improve. You know, but like, what if he climbed the mountain last season, which was in my opinion his best season in today's season, Ballon d'Or kind of level season, and then he's just gonna continue to go like this, which is nothing bad again, but we might not see another, you know, upwards trajectory. It might just be this, and then as he approaches 30, it might, you know, start to decrease. Like, what if this is his peak? You know, and I feel like we're quick to assume that we're young players. And this isn't just about football now. This is real sport. I'm talking about life. Like, there's this phrase that I've been fucking with at the moment: "Wait your turn," or everyone has their turn. Every dog has their day. Everyone has their season. You know. Um, it's like even in real life, like we see it in life, right? Real spill. We see where people, it was just their time. You know, and in football, to bring it back into football. Okay, no, sorry, to take it back out. I wasn't finished with that point, but it's like, you know, we might see someone that's up or that was up at a young age, you know, all the girls, all the money, all the fame, all the, you know what I mean? Like all the recognition, everything, like life is grinding. at a young age, you know. And then someone relative to that age who's younger on a come up grinding, hustling may not have all of that, you know. They may not have the motion behind them, you know. But it's like as they get older, you know, it starts to shift. The pendulum starts to swing, you know. Life is funny. Life is funny. It works like that. And it's like to bring it back into football. We've seen Raheem Sterling, quite similar to Lamine Yamal's career actually. Raheem Sterling breaking out at Liverpool at 17, 18. Bro was in title races at 17, 18. Bro, Raheem Sterling, you know, that guy criminally underrated. What's a career he's had, regardless of what we're seeing of him right now. Yeah, I would never tolerate Raheem Sterling shit or Raheem Sterling disrespect. Even though I'm a Liverpool fan and the way he left the club was a bit, I would never have that. Raheem Sterling had an amazing career. Peaked at seven. Okay, I don't want to say peaked at 17, 18, but broke through 17, 18. One like I think he was the first ever English player to win Golden Boy. Done that, you know. Broke through, was in Paris at 17, 18. You know, early 20s went onto Man City and then was winning Premier Leagues basically every other season. And then around like 26, 27, it kind of slowed down for him. And then I'll say 27, 28, Raheem Sterling, you know, wasn't the Raheem Sterling we've kind of known of him in his early 20s or 19, late teens, right? Where he just broke onto the scene. Another example I want to put out there, Neymar, Hazard, you know, these were players that were up, considered quote unquote up early in their years. And, you know, later on their years, they've kind of dwindled into, you know, we've all seen what happened with Hazard going to like Madrid at what, 28, you know, wasn't the same player after, since, you know, after that move. Compared to someone like Mo Salah, like he was grinding, you know, FC Basel, Chelsea, weren't really happening for him, you know. During Chelsea, when he left Chelsea to go to Italy, he was put down as one of the biggest busts in Premier League history. Like Salah was getting clowned, like it was crazy, you know, it was crazy. His career, if he didn't come back to Liverpool, his career would have been, and we just focused on his career at Chelsea, it would have been one of the biggest, like stinkiest, you know what I mean? Like, bro, it was not that great, right? But then later on in his career, he comes back to the Premier League at 28, 27, 28 was when Mo Salah joined Liverpool, I think, you know, and then look at the career he's had. Mo Salah at 33, single handedly. I don't want to say single handedly, but that Premier League that Liverpool won has more Salah fingerprints, just has more Salah's name written all over it. Mo Salah contributed, or Mo Salah accounted for 60% of Liverpool's goals that season to that title charge, bro. That's the most single handedly Premier League title win I've ever seen. The greatest individual season he drops at the age of 33 in the Premier League, right? And Mo Salah doing that, his guys that were his age mates or his peers that were up earlier on in their careers, Neymar, Hazard, you know, were kind of around that age. They were, you know, in Saudi, Hazard retired, you know, and it's not a bad thing. That's just how life works, and that's just how football works, in my opinion, as well, right? Um, it's like, but when it's your time, it's your time, innit? And you know, people peak essentially. What I want you guys to take away from that is people peak at different periods in their careers, different periods in their time, you know. And what if, you know, Lamine has peaked at this time, or has already peaked? He's already reached his peak. What if that? You know, let's ask that question. And another worry is, bro, playing that amount, the amount of football he's played already at such a young age. He's 18, bro, but it feels like he's been around for such a long time. It feels like he's 18, but it feels like he's 24. It's insane. He's been around at such a long time. He's played football at such a young age. You know, breaking out at 15. The amount of football he's played between the age of 15 to 18 at the highest level is a lot, right? So it's like, you know, that could also take its toll on it. You know what I mean? Like he's played a lot of football. Like, let's be honest here. You know, a regression. Listen, I don't wish it on him, but it could be on the cards. You know, maybe this is the first. I don't want to say final, but like this could be like the first signs of like a regression where it's like, yo, like we could possibly be seeing Lamine Yamal regressing a bit. I don't believe that. I think that's too far fetched. I don't believe that. I think, you know, we even see what Messi and Ronaldo, like sometimes they've had seasons that were so good in their earlier in their careers, and seasons that they had in the middle of their careers, it probably wasn't as good as some of the first couple of seasons that they had in their careers. But you know, we wouldn't really go overboard with it. I think we shouldn't really go overboard with it with Lamine Yamal. That last part might have been but hopefully you guys get that. But I don't want this video to drag on for too long, so I'm gonna end it here. You guys let me know if you guys agree with the points made. Yeah, man. Hey, this UK heat, fam. As you guys can see, I'm sweating like a mother, you know. But I'll see you lot in the next one, man.